It's one of the most ironic parts of the mission of Jesus. He was sent to provide the solution for all mankind, yet he lived and taught in such a way that many who knew him did not accept him. His methods and his message made people feel uncomfortable. Even today, as we read them, they feel correct and upsetting at the same time. He lived and taught in a way that could be legitimately described as divisive. In fact, to me, this is one of the most attractive parts of Jesus. He was more concerned with the outcome for the individual than his popularity with the crowd. He apparently had no desire to win in the court of public opinion. Instead, he engaged repeatedly with others in a way that was beneficial for them at the moment. It's actually staggering to think that Jesus was so good at relationship that he was able to hold together a group of 12 men for approximately 3 years while keeping them in flux between confusion over his teaching and wonder over his abilities. This is a place I'm very familiar with, and what we're going to discuss today was one of those moments for those 12 men. I want to take a moment to look a little closer today at perhaps the most disrespectful question Jesus ever asked. True to form, it's a question that once we hear it, it refuses to leave us alone. And we may like it about as much as the first recipient, but that doesn't change its power. Jesus was so good at good questions. And on this day, he asked it to a man who had been waiting 38 years for a change. On this particular day, Jesus makes the first move. Already, having healed a man's son from a distance, he then moves in close, face to face, to a man on a mat that's better viewed as a prison. The man was by a pool that was believed to have healing power, and all he wanted was to get to that pool. Without any small talk and no easing into the situation, Jesus speaks. Looking into the eyes of the invalid, he says, "Now brace yourself for Jesus' offensive tactics." He asks, "Do you want to be healed?" 38 years of sitting by a pool, hoping to be healed, a pool he could never reach. 38 years of wondering what life would be like off that mat, and a man walks up to him and asks him this. The Bible says there were hundreds of people in that place that day. Hundreds of people, and Jesus picks this one man for this one question, giving us insight as to why the Bible says Jesus knew this man had been there a long time. Don't miss that detail. The man answers Jesus' question in exactly the same way I would. "Yes, but I can't get to the thing that's supposed to heal me. I'm too slow. The pain is too great. It's been so long, I've stopped trying." Ever been there? Here's some encouraging news for all of us. When we are there, Jesus is willing to be there with us. And because of his presence, we have access to his power. After the man conveys the problem he's stuck in, Jesus makes his move. He instructs the man to get up off his mat, pick it up, and walk away. And after 38 years, the man does it. He walks. Because of the care of Jesus, the knowledge of Jesus, and the power of Jesus to interrupt the patterns of nature, this man walked through the rest of his life. His position, formerly a permanent prison, was dramatically reversed due to one question. What's behind Jesus' question? Why did he choose to begin this incredible day in the life of this man like this? Now, I can only speculate based on how it's worked out in my own life. What Jesus knows is that healing the broken parts of us requires change, whether we're ready for it or not. This man, as terrible as his situation was, had most likely grown accustomed to its limits. But when Jesus transformed him, a new approach to his life was required. See, there's a difference between receiving healing and living healed. Living out the healing of Jesus requires something from us, and this vertical is what scares many of us. In fact, it's kept many of us on the mat for far too long. Oddly, it feels safer and less daunting to stay there. The truth is, we're all the man on the mat. We all have things, no matter how successful we appear, that have kept us stuck, perhaps even for decades. The bigger truth is that it doesn't have to be this way, but in order to get there, we'll have to navigate the questions of Jesus that divide us. Is there something you've been sitting by for a long time, hoping it would somehow make you better? Where's your focus? Is it with the hundreds or with Jesus? Do you trust Jesus is willing to stay in relationship with you long enough to hear out your excuses so that he can deliver instructions that will change your life forever? Here's my advice, and it's what we'll be talking about this week in the vertical community. Skip the pool. You never needed it anyway. It's Jesus that makes the difference. But to know this, we have to be willing to hear. We have to be willing to answer. And we have to be willing to follow the man with the questions that divide us.